And that dark vehicle near the middle of your screen, that is an older model Mercedes. This pursuit began in Riverside, where they tried to pull the vehicle over for some sort of a vehicle violation, and then he took off. There you see sliding it out. He's taking a turn inside of a parking lot right now as we continue to watch him. I'm going to get you abreast of what has happened. He took off in Riverside, jumped on the 91 freeway. At that point, Riverside PD gave up on the chase and pushed it over to the CHP. The CHP followed this for quite some time. It was an interesting pursuit because he wasn't going fast at the time on the freeway, actually reducing speeds from everywhere from 55 to 35 miles an hour, going slower than the normal traffic. They followed him until he eventually exited at Beach Boulevard near Anaheim. Oh, look at this. All right, he's going to take off inside the Walmart. We're watching this live right now. Police have pursued him from Riverside to this Walmart in the Santa Ana area. He drives right up to the front door of the Walmart, and he takes off inside. As we look around the parking lot, clearly there are people still there at 11 o'clock at night. I don't know if this Walmart is open or perhaps those are workers, but it is complicating the situation right now. But you saw him as he pulled up right onto the sidewalk, opened the door, and he jumped out. Onlookers are kind of trying to figure out if this is real or not, and the CHP there sitting outside. Obviously, a perimeter is going to be established, and as soon as we get an opportunity, I'm going to try to catch you up on what we saw earlier in this pursuit. He did stop at one point and let a passenger out, which we thought was at a Walmart parking lot. I don't know if this is the same one. We're going to try to find out, and he perhaps circled around. Nevertheless, there is a wider shot of what's happening here. So you see the backside there. There are police cars back there. You see their flashing lights. You see also the sun gun from the helicopter above that has been following this pursuit. So right now they're going to try to set up a perimeter around this Walmart, and you saw that Costco just neighboring the Walmart. This will be complicated because he's inside that building, from what we understand, unless he knew his way through there and was able to get out a side exit before it's actually watched by PD. More than likely, there will be witnesses there on the scene who could help direct officers to where the suspect went. There's also obviously going to be surveillance video as well. But most importantly, they have a suspect that is inside this Walmart right now. You saw him pull up to the front door and literally run inside. I have with me right now Bruce Thomas, retired sheriff's officer, a sergeant with the force for more than 30 years. And Bruce, here we are again. This has gotten suddenly interesting. This was a very slow speed pursuit for the longest time, and suddenly it's really picked up.
Yeah, that's correct, David. My understanding, like you said, it was just a failure to yield. It was handed off to CHP. The suspect would not pull over. The vehicle has no license plates, so hopefully the female that got out of the vehicle is able to give some information to the CHP officers. However, if you're looking at the live shot, you'll see the posture is one of kind of wait and see. They're going to set up a perimeter, like you said, contain it, control it. They're going to ask for additional officers from Anaheim or whatever jurisdiction this is. And you have basically a failure to yield, an infractional pursuit, now possibly turning into a barricade of some sort.
Yeah, this could be complicated there. We don't know anything about this suspect, at least right now. Perhaps law enforcement might have a little bit more information, but you heard Sergeant Thomas allude to the fact that somebody was dropped off. It was a female. We'll show you some video right now of that. See, as you watch along, this is on Long Beach Boulevard from what we understand, and he suddenly stops. It's tough to see. He is the headlights that's up ahead. That's the vehicle right there. He dropped off somebody. That's the person walking briskly through a parking lot, the person with a bag looking back. We believe it's a female of some sort. She got out of the back door, the back seat of the vehicle, took off. Law enforcement clearly picked her up. Then a few minutes later is when you joined us, and then he somehow has made his way to this Walmart here. I don't know if it's the same area or not. We're trying to verify that, but you saw him as he pulled up, stopped, jumped out of the vehicle, and as you can see, people are still walking out of the Walmart. So police are inside. Let's see. Let's re-roll that. This is the video that you saw at the top of this newscast. He literally drives that vehicle right up to the front door, runs out, and runs inside. A dramatic development, and then there's the woman pointing to officers. So he ran in, or she ran in. I didn't get a very good look at the suspect. I think I saw a light-colored sweatshirt, but the person ran in very quickly. Clearly, they could actually, take the wet sweatshirt off, so that might be not an indicator of the suspect. But there were witnesses there, and by the looks of things, it does look like that Walmart is open. People are walking out with their baskets filled with merchandise and just kind of nonchalantly walking out. So let's bring back in Bruce Thomas. And Bruce, what do they do now as we see that this suspect has mixed in with a very large store that is filled with shoppers?
Well, you have a lot of moving parts to this. The first thing is you have to get enough units, enough personnel there to contain it. You can see this is a massive Walmart that, as you alluded to, is open. It may be a 24-hour Walmart. We don't know. Has multiple exits. So they're going to have to contain it and control it, get a really good description of the suspect, clothing, height, weight, race, all that information. And now they have to clear these people out of that store. So this becomes a huge police protracted problem at this point.
Wow. And then nonetheless, okay, let's watch closely. You're going to see that door fly open. Yep. Dark pants, white sweatshirt with a hoodie. Don't know if it was a man or a woman, but that person jumped out quickly and ran inside. So,
and David, as you alluded to, Walmarts do sell clothes.
Yeah.
So this person may be grabbing stuff off the rack, going into a changing room, and there's maybe try to blend in and just walk out.
Right. Eventually, though, as we all know, these kinds of stores have many surveillance videos, but it might be too little too late if this suspect is able to slip out. Nevertheless, they can at least eventually get a good look at the suspect.
That's correct. That's one part of the investigation. Part of the problem that the police will look at is, hey, we got to formulate a plan. Well, it looks like they have a suspect on the ground. This may be the guy. Maybe he came out a side door. I'm not sure.
Okay. So that, as you noticed, as we've been alluding to, that the clothes are clearly different. There's not a white sweatshirt there, but that is somebody who is on the ground. And we didn't see that person being taken out of the vehicle, so we know the vehicle is not the source. So it is interesting. Perhaps they did track this person down. Perhaps that person ran through a side entrance. And, the good and the bad of it is, with so many shoppers in there, there's enough people who could point the way and are willing to point out where the suspect went. And then maybe that could be very helpful to law enforcement in quickly apprehending the suspect.
Oh, yeah, the people in the store are going to be the eyes and the ears for law enforcement on this, because eventually they're going to have to do what they call a field show up, where they're going to have the suspect or the gentleman there in this case ID'd by people that saw him get out of the car. The officer is involved in the pursuit. Once they identify him, then he is our suspect.
Okay, well, let's hope for the best that this is the suspect that's taken into custody. It was an interesting pursuit, though. It started in Riverside, a failure to yield. The person just didn't pull over, took off, but he didn't go at a high rate of speed. In fact, it was just the opposite. It was interesting to see him, Bruce, going all the way down the freeway sometimes at 35 miles per hour, and people were literally having to go around this entourage of cars, his Mercedes, followed by the CHP, and you saw the stun gun on him, and yet people would actually have to drive around because it was such an obstacle. I do know that there apparently was some sort of a spike strip attempt. It was unsuccessful on the freeway, and then eventually he exited on Beach. But he went quite a ways at a very slow rate, and I thought it was going to continue that way. But then you saw this behavioral change once he exited the freeway. He started to almost toy with the officers stopping and starting and stopping and starting. And then we suddenly saw him stop, and you saw that video where somebody got out of the back seat of the car, and the woman quickly tried to walk away. So here's some of that behavior there on the right-hand side of your screen, where you see this is video after he's just exited. Now, keep in mind, he was only going about 35 to 50 miles per hour on the freeway. There we see a U-turn. Then he suddenly stops. And this was kind of the beginning of what appeared to be some sort of a cat and mouse game. And then he takes off. He's not necessarily driving super fast, but definitely a little bit more aggressive than what we had been seeing. Keep in mind, we're keeping an eye on what's going on the left-hand side of your screen as well, trying to verify if that's a suspect. You saw an aggressive move there where it looked like he was going to go right, and then he pulled left. And then here he is driving along. This is Beach Boulevard again. You can see the indicators there from Air 7. He comes up, stops at a stop sign or stop light, which he started to do. He was abiding by most traffic signals, stopping and waiting. Okay, and then Elliot, tell it to me again. Okay, so here we go, and now we're going to jump ahead, and this is one more time. The suspect jumping out. Notice the lower half. I saw some dark sweats, some sneakers, and I'm trying to see if there is some kind of a match on the suspect here that is being apprehended. Not sure if they could push in any further or not from Air 7 to see. There's a little bit. It's tough to see. It's very dark down there. Just trying to see, because clearly the white sweatshirt is gone, Bruce, but as you said, he could have taken it off. He could have changed into some other clothes. And then
David, you know, you alluded to this just a few seconds ago on this pursuit. The pursuit was such slow speed that traffic was backing up into the pursuit. Normally we have suspects that go, 100 miles an hour, want to outrun the police. But in this case, the regular traffic was going to outrun the pursuit. So that was a real problem for CHP.
Right. Okay, so this is happening. This is live now, where you see a search of the suspect. They're giving this guy a whole lot of attention. Is this pretty clear to you that this is the suspect?
And their posture is they're very interested in this individual. They're conducting a pat-down search now. He is handcuffed. There's sufficient officers there to deal with this part of the problem. They haven't released the containment yet, and they won't until they know for sure this is the suspect. And that's where that field show-up or field identification lineup will take place fairly quickly to ascertain, is this our guy or not? Mm-hmm.
So this is going on, and there you see the sign right there, the Westminster Gateway. So if you're familiar with this area, this is North Coast, the North Coast area, Westminster Gateway. That's where a large Costco and a Walmart are. And the suspect stopped the car in front of the Walmart and ran into there with customers still there at the facility. In fact, quite a few customers at 11 o'clock at night. And hopefully they helped apprehend the suspect. Again, we're going to show it one more time. The suspect pulling up to the Walmart, I mean, brazenly just going right up to the sidewalk and then stopping the car, jumping out and running, leaving the car running right there. I'm sure it made a spectacle inside the store. If this person is running at top speed in the store, they probably hear the sirens from the outside as well, Bruce. And that kind of spectacle, you're not going to be able to hide.
Yeah. The fact that you have people exiting the store, suspect drives his vehicle up to the front of the store, leaves it running. You saw it pull a little forward. Thank God it wasn't running at a high rate of speed or injuring anybody. He runs in. People are just walking out because I believe that Walmart closes about 11 p.m. So you got a transition thing going on. And, people in the store are like, what's going on? I mean, it is, like you say, it could be a movie. Is it real?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just another happening late at night here in Southern California. We've seen a large number of police pursuits in the last few nights, and I guess when the weather heats up, Bruce, it seems like we come out of winter and these pursuits seem to be multiple a night, and definitely you and I were here Friday night doing a pursuit, and here we are again Monday night.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but, with COVID, people are locked up, people are frustrated. People don't want to maybe follow some rules. And in this case, what is this guy running from? Mm-hmm. He's running from a traffic ticket. So what is the purpose of this? He or she is going to get taken into custody. It's just a matter of time. But all the resources and the inconvenience and endangering the officer and endangering the public and even endangering the suspect, is this all worth it? And I think that's where law enforcement is going to really have to evaluate these.
You can see the large crowd starting to gather there where that suspect is being searched there on the sidewalk by the sign of the mall. All of those are basically witnesses, pedestrians who just kind of are gathering now and watching the goings on. So do you call in a crowd control or anything like that, Bruce? Is this anything to be concerned about?
No, a bunch of looky-loos, but what I am surprised is they have not moved the suspect, or maybe they have. If Air7HD pushes in a little bit, maybe they've got him off the ground and moved him back to where the car was dumped at the entrance to the Walmart to see if you can get people to say, yeah, this was the guy that ran by us. But to leave him on the ground, unless there's some sort of medical emergency, I'm a little confused by that.
Okay, yeah, maybe there's something going on there that we don't know yet. And also, could the search through surveillance video be taking place right now? Do they get access to it that quickly, or is this something that you have to wait for?
You know, you may be able to access that quickly. There's a manager that is on duty who may have access to the video surveillance system. He or she may not. Your best thing is going to be your eyewitnesses, the people that hopefully when he pulled up are still there. You can see they set up crime scene tape already to contain it and control the area there. So maybe this vehicle, they've run the VIN number. Maybe it comes back to a stolen vehicle now. They couldn't ascertain that with the license plate because there is no license plate. So there may be some further things. Now we see an ambulance coming in. So it looks like the suspect may have some sort of medical emergency.
Yeah, so that might explain why they're not moving him, and it's kind of slowed up the process right over here, and he's staying right there. We'll continue to watch the situation. As you can see, the crowd continuing to gather as well. They got to make room for the ambulance to come in, and they'll check the suspect out. Perhaps if that suspect did run all that way and then get apprehended, it could be some respiratory, cardiac issues, anything like that, especially if there was a struggle. We don't know if there's a struggle or not. We just basically caught it on the tail end of the apprehension. He was already on the ground with multiple officers on him, so we don't know exactly what happened in order to get him into that position. If he came running out that side, or it could have been a chase for a ways, Bruce.
Yeah, it could have been a foot pursuit where he ran out the back door, officers chased him. He could have tripped and fallen. He may be having respiratory issues. There's a lot of things which may be taking place. The officers don't seem too panicked or rushed about this, so that's a good thing. But the other thing, too, is when Air7HD pulls out, look at the drain of the resources. Look how many units are there.
Yeah, and we talked about that on Friday night as well when we saw the Bell PD having to chase this one pursuit suspect for hours, and they don't have a lot of resources to devote. Their citizens need them at home, and yet these guys are running all over Southern California chasing a suspect, and the same thing, a failure to yield.
Yeah, you know, it's a low-grade misdemeanor, if that. Well, now you have a felony evading. You've turned nothing into something now. But it's unfortunate that these things go on for hours, in this case, at least an hour and a half. And this seems to be a little more protracted because of the medical emergency for the suspect. But the drain on the resources is just so immense.
Right. And then whatever this suspect was trying to run from, he's astronomically made it far worse for himself and perhaps even the passenger that was with him. And, not to mention the danger that he puts himself and many others in when it comes to these kinds of pursuits. So I'm waiting to see if the medical personnel get there. I haven't seen that just yet, and it's kind of hard to tell. But right there is a suspect, if not the suspect, that police have apprehended. We did see that ambulance pull up, but I don't see where it went right now. But you see the large crowd gathering, so clearly whatever's happening down there is of major interest to them. Also by the front door, there's a little bit of a crowd, but nothing like you're seeing here. So this seems to be perhaps the most interesting thing that's going on this campus right now. You could see some people huddled right over there, right to the right of that green light, and you see the flashlight being lit there. That's where the suspect is, as he was apprehended, and then he's, I can't tell if he's sitting or lying down. Thank you for spotlighting him there. Sitting or lying down, and you see an officer kind of checking out perhaps something that was dropped. And I guess a process for this, Bruce, is unless if they don't feel like they for sure have this guy, this could be a really long night on these premises.
Yeah, it could turn into a massive search. The Walmarts are, many thousand square feet and a lot of, dressing rooms, inventory rooms, storerooms, bathrooms. But they're paying attention to this guy, so we're going to go with the assumption until we know otherwise that this is our suspect. It looks like they may just be waiting for fire or rescue to show up. They're talking to him. There doesn't seem to be a sense of urgency. So whatever the medical emergency is, it's not a matter of, running into something where they're going to have to perform some sort of CPR or some sort of medical emergency aid.
Right. He seems to be okay, and they're just waiting for some help there. All right, Bruce, I want to thank you for helping me on this. Air 7 is going to continue to watch the scene as we get more information. We have some very important news we want to get to tonight, though, so luckily we have a few minutes left to do that. I want to bring your attention to another big breaking story at 11 o'clock. Shots fired at a local freeway, and take a look at this. The passenger side of this silver sedan riddled with bullet holes, and we've learned that a female passenger in that